everybody. Welcome to another Sonic Talk. Today it's Wednesday the 2nd, or was it the 3rd? It'll be the 3rd of September today. I'm back from holiday. We had a week off last week. We did try and keep you with continuous content, but sadly I had an interview lined up with an artist who blew me out at the last minute, so I do apologise. So there was nothing last week. I know how some of you get awfully itchy when you don't get your fix of weekly Sonic Talk, but Sonic Talk is, of course, available on YouTube. If you're not watched, subscribe to us and you should get notifications every time we upload a new episode, which is generally speaking weekly, along with all of our other content. So please do go there and subscribe. I also want to say thank you to our sponsors, iZotope. We'll be announcing the winner of last competition and also your chance to win iZotope BreakTweaker again this week. Can you believe it? Anyway, let me I've got to just do something over here because there's something in the screen. I had to rebuild the server that was streaming and recording, and the display now doesn't show that it's recording. Well, I know it is, so give me 1 second. Awesome. I'm done. So now I feel comfortable because I can see it's actually doing it rather than just an obscure small red light. Anyway, welcome guests. We'll start with you, Mr. Dave Spears, in your synth cave. Dave Spears, GeForceSoftware.com, collector of synthesizers, maker of virtual synthesizers, general immersed in the world of analog electronic synthesizers, generally speaking. He's even, I think he even might have an analog video camera by the look at the quality today. How are you?
Yeah, actually, yeah, this is retro. I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, it's utter chaos in here.
Oh, in a good way?
Bedlam. Do you want a peek? Well, not really. It all needs tidying up, but look, oh, I can't even see. I can't even get that right.
No,
anyway.
Never mind. Yeah, don't do that. We nearly lost you there for a minute. It can't handle dealing with that many pixels at the same time. So what's going on in your world then, Dave, to bring this chaos?
Fixing of lots of bits of kit, testing of lots of bits of kit, comparing lots of bits of kit, just working with lots of bits of kit, really.
Ah, is that...
And it's sort of piling up around me. I'm like, at some point, something's got to give, probably the floor.
Glad to hear that, Dave. Well, not glad to hear that, but I mean, serves you right for having so much of the stuff. You know, you're going to have to just get a bigger boat, as they say in Jaws, which is a sort of very loose link to nothing, really. But anyway, but thanks for joining us, Dave. I appreciate it.
Lent stuff out.
Ah, well, hopefully we'll talk about that, Miss Bush. I've got a little video clip that I can play if we get a chance to talk about that. Right, we're going to go from where you are, which is in the UK. We're going to go across the water, if I time it right, to Mr. Rich Hilton. Rich Hilton, of course, keyboard player in Chic, Nile Rodgers studio guy, generally man about the town, well, man about the world. Where have you been since I last? It's been 2 weeks. You must have at least circumnavigated the globe once.
No, but I've been back and forth to your neck of the woods a couple of times. Where was I? A couple of festivals in England, V Festival. We were in Belfast for Belsonic. We were in Curacao for their version of the North Sea Jazz Festival. And we were in Ireland for the Electric Circus.
Wow, that's plenty. Curacao, is that the home of a blue liqueur by any chance?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And this coming week, pardon me, I cut myself shaving today. This coming week, we are going first to the Isle of Wight to play Bestival, and then we're going to Croatia to play something called the Unknown Festival, which hopefully will be well attended.
It's unknown. There'll be no audience because they didn't sell any tickets because nobody knew about it. Hopefully not that rich, of course. So we wouldn't want that. Although I'm sure with Chic you can have a party wherever you go.
It seems that people are very interested in this music these days.
Excellent stuff. Well, I'm glad you had a good summer so far. Well, I guess we're nearly end of summer. Well, although the sun's streaming into Gaz Williams' studio garret is probably something showing us the contrary. Gaz Williams, of course, professional bass player, music producer, hair improviser, and a man wearing headphones. Your hair has got smaller. Is there something wrong?
Oh, well, no, I just found...
okay, you found a way of tying it back. That's all right. You don't have to let it out on our... Oh, okay. Mic clip. Neat. How are you, Gaz?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, it's been quite busy studio sort of buried in studio land really. But yeah, good.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad to hear it.
Trying to break in that Mac Pro.
Oh, yes, of course.
It's been nightmare.
Oh, dear.
It's really been rubbish. Thoroughly don't recommend them.
What's the matter now? Last time we spoke to you, you were just sort of really thrilled. Well, you're more excited about a Raspberry Pi. And now
Definitely.
This week, are you still? Is that just reinforced that?
Definitely. Yeah. Oh, I'm really down on the Mac Pro.
Oh dear, do tell, because I mean obviously this is a music technology podcast, and being a user in a studio environment, I think it's game for discussion.
I'm sure it's just me being a bit of a numpty, but I think there's something about the keychain, and it just keeps getting me to re-enter the keychain. And I've been through loads of stuff on the internet about how to fix it, deleting, trashing sort of caches and various bits. Keeps on doing it, but it keeps popping up with this thing when I'm trying to work, and it's just driving me around the bend.
That rings a bell. I'm sure I think that might be one of those things that is just one of those has a lot of things to do with how many. Sorry, I'll start that sentence again. Didn't go into it very well. I think I've had that before on previous versions of OS X, a keychain thing. Did you migrate the system from somewhere else, or did you build from scratch?
Yeah, I went from scratch. I really thought I was trying to do it very carefully and methodically, and all the help I've managed to find on the internet I've followed through diligently, and it's not sorted it. So mystery.
Is keychain to do with the security and the IP address and that sort of thing?
Yeah, it keeps all your passwords in one place, sort of thing. Yeah, it's a little bit of a mystery. I think it's gonna have to be a reinstall. I think, because I've tried everything.
Oh, that is a real downer. I'm sorry to hear that. There's nothing worse than, mind you, I spent probably 2 hours this morning trying to figure out some really simple logic in some code, and eventually got it right. But it was one of those things, if then else, just like, oh, so boring.
Yeah.
But I got it working anyway. Well, Gaz, pleased to have you with us. I'm sorry that your computer has not been all up, but when it gets going, I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. As you know, I'm still very envious. I would certainly love to have one of those machines, apart from the fact that I can't put any of my PCI cards in it, which now are quite legion. Has it got eSATA connections on it?
Nope.
So you have to go Thunderbolt to eSATA.
Yeah. I mean, there's a healthy amount of Thunderbolt connections. There's 6 Thunderbolt connections.
Woohoo.
And when you consider how many devices you can chain on those, that's kind of cool. But Thunderbolt is still way too expensive to be a consideration for me right now.
Yeah. Oh, some advice from the chat room. Gridsleep says you might want to check your user permissions, Gaz. Your ID might not be an administrator. Check for guest access. So there you go. That might be something. It's always worth a try. Still, for September, I know in previous years, Roland have been the guys doing this Roland Connect, where they get release a load of stuff, and indeed they have this year. But this September seems to have been a bit of a gear fest in terms of new releases. Let's start with the first item in the agenda. This is the sexy shots of... It's basically a MIDI controller with lights on that talks to the Komplete system, 9 and up, using various trademarked things that have a K in them instead of a C. Oh, that's a bit loud. We got multicoloured lights above the LEDs. What's not to like? Doesn't do that. That's all computer graphics added on. These are new instruments in the Komplete 10 collection, but it has a number of interesting features. That being one of them. The browser, the labelable knobs. So all the knobs have labels below them. And looks like it's got those kind of Dave Smith type touch strips, but also they've got physical attributes like spring and bouncing ball. Anyway, who's excited? Komplete 10, it's that time of year, isn't it? I mean, we can cover that as well because I've got a couple of bits that relevant information. So there's Komplete Control. It's the S-Series. S25 is $499 US. That is not cheap. And then it goes up in $100 increments depending on how many octaves you want, only up to 6. So you get from $499 for the 25 key, which I think you'd be mad to spend $499 on a 25 key keyboard, to $699. This is dollars, so UK price probably going to be maybe £300 to £500. I'm not sure. $699 for the S61, which is probably the one that's got a nice Fatah keyboard bed with aftertouch, which is great. You know, that's good to see, and it could be good. Gaz, you don't sound like you're all that impressed.
Well, it's the price, really. I think the price, I think they've got it woefully wrong. Because I was foolishly thought that it included Komplete at that price, where I thought that seemed like good. You know, at least when you get machine, you get in the software as well as the hardware. But this just being a hardware thing, I'm not sure. I mean, especially, I was thinking about this. I was recently, I've been using the Panorama Nectar, which is, I think, the 49 key sells for about £325 in the UK.
Wow, and that's got an AMOLED display as well, hasn't it?
It's got a big, lovely display on it. It's got faders, it's got a motorized fader, it's got drum pads, it's got knobs, it's got mapping for loads. So if you use Logic, Bitwig, Cubase, Reason, you know, it's really well integrated. So I think Native Instruments have just they've pitched this way too high. I think 200 euros, I think. So, well,
do you think it's got, you know, but maybe the thing, I guess the thing about the oh gosh, the Nectar is they've got a nice key bed as well. So I suppose, you know, you can't really say that's the reason. But I worked it out. So basically, it's about $8.30 a key if you're adding additional octaves there. I know, Rich, you seem to be muted.
Yeah,
I saw you speak.
It's just as well. Really, this is all about the price. $500. That's really what we're agonizing over here. I just don't see it. I think it looks like a very clever product. I think it's missing some things I wish it had, but I get it as a concept. They wanted it to be very slim. It's the logical extension of the machine hardware project, which was incredibly successful for them. And the more colored lights, the merrier with version 2. So that's what they've put on this as well. I'm kind of surprised it doesn't have some kind of drum pads on it. But on the other hand, they're going to turn and say to you, well, we already have made the best drum pad controller out there, or whatever they're going to say, that also interfaces seamlessly with all this, you know, Komplete stuff. So actually, I think it's a very clever product for them. I don't think it's that expensive given hopefully the depth of integration that we should expect with their product line at the very least. And yeah, I agree with Gaz. The stuff that company makes with the white and red keyboard is very appealing as well, but only if you're really running Cubase or Reason. I don't know about Bitwig. I haven't seen it run with Bitwig.
Logic, it does run. It does run with Logic too.
It runs with Logic to some degree, but it really shines with Cubase, which is what they really developed it for, and Reason. And for me with Pro Tools, it was utterly useless, and you couldn't power it locally, and because of the length of where I have to put it, that was the deal breaker. Is no power input on the keyboard.
There's two USB sockets. One is
yes,
power,
I'm talking about power from the wall.
Oh yeah, but I guess you could just take a power and you know, get a power adapter that has a USB output and plug.
They told me not to do any of that.
Oh really?
And I sent it back to them.
Oh okay.
Because that was the deal breaker. How ridiculous
I can understand how that might be a problem.
I would have kept it, and I don't even like what I have now better.
Oh,
even though neither of them really integrates the way I wanted to with Pro Tools, but they lost my business over not having a power connector on this.
You know what? That sounds, because we ran it when we did some shoots with them here, and I'm pretty sure one of them was powered from a sort of, you know, just a standard plug, you know, USB wall wart to USB out via power. So that must be feasible. Maybe you were misinformed, or maybe, you know, I don't know. That's just.
I was talking to the
Yeah,
the Royal Guard over
the
there,
Royal
as far
Guard.
as I understood.
No, that's
as far as I understood it. But I mean, it was a very nice product. And anyway, but getting back to Native Instruments, it is a very nice product for people who are not running Pro Tools and don't need to power it locally. It's a great product. This Native Instruments thing is the logical extension of the Machine hardware line, which is a, you know, very successful and I think very cleverly integrated product. I love updatable functions on knobs. I like it when the knob shows you what it's doing right now all the time. And, you know, panels full of blank knobs that don't tell you what each knob is doing, and you got to remember for everything, every layer you're using, or be looking at the screen to be able to tell, kind of bug me.
Yeah, I can understand.
They didn't put pads on it. That's what I think.
Yeah, well, and I think, you know, for the very same reason, because it's like, well, it sort of treads on the Machine kind of side of things. Gaz, you use Machine, don't you? So, and you've used Micro as well. I mean, do you think maybe as a pair they'd be a beautiful thing? Or I don't know how they play together. I suppose they must do.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's a great combo. And, you know, Machine works brilliantly with its library. It's the way that they've integrated it is terrific. But I suppose this does beg the question with this new Komplete keyboard, though. How is it going to work with non-Native Instruments software? You know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess you can assign the stuff MIDI-wise. I mean, you must be able to. I mean, it can't be a completely closed thing, but I guess you don't get that level of integration that you do with, you know, other. I mean, basically, you've got two choices, haven't you? You either got something that's tightly integrated to the software, so it's linked and that's all lovely, or you've got something that has to have some kind of translation, you know, whether it be Automap, whether it be the M-Audio system, or whether it be, you know, something else. I mean, those are your choices, and none of those translation layers are perfect. So, you know, that's kind of the problem, really.
But Arturia sort of did this a number of years ago, didn't they, with their Analog Factory and all the subsequent iterations of that, which I think maybe 5 or 6 years ago they brought that out. And I had one of them, and I was very impressed with that one, really. I thought that was a very good product. But then what they've done is, as they've evolved their line, they've made their products, initially when it came out, it was just purely focused for operating the one piece of software. But now they're much more like generic MIDI controllers.
Well, true, they don't, but again, they don't really have, you know, the labels, that whole kind of concept. Dave, you've been very quiet there. You know, I know that you don't have specifically dedicated, apart from the Imposca controller, which of course is fantastic, but again is most fantastic when used paired with your software. Even though, you know, if you have a fairly comprehensive soft synth, it's great because you've got one knob per function and you can remap it. It's just that has to be done manually. So I mean, what are you looking for something like this, or something that will answer that question of like, I just want something that works with everything?
I think I would if I was using Native Instruments products pretty much exclusively. It's weird. The first thing that struck me about the vid is I couldn't tell what was real and what was not real. Like when you touch those ribbon strips at the side, do you get laser sine waves come out of it?
I certainly hope so.
Because if so, I want it tomorrow. Yeah, that would be really cool. But also, it almost strikes me as a kind of proof of concept, an early proof of concept. There's a lot of real estate on that controller
that's not used, yeah.
That actually I thought was speakers at first. So I'm kind of expecting I'm expecting this one to be kind of out of date in about a year, and then to be superseded by one with more knobs, or one with pads and knobs and whatnot. So I think I'd kind of reserve judgment, at least until I played it as well, because for me, it's the feel of the keyboard and the integration with the software, the two kind of key paramount things.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I guess really the thing that's the most different about it is it's got LEDs above every key. That's kind of the main thing that makes it very different in terms of keyboard terms, because I mean, presumably a lot of those functions. I mean, there are some other neat features, which is something that I've been banging on about for a while. Actually, is having MIDI controller hosted LFOs, which is I believe what they've got going on in there. So you can set up there's LFOs that will run, and there's no, that was something else, isn't it? No, that's another, but. It's got arpeggiators, it's got kind of scale indication, so you know it means that you'll play the right notes, or maybe can't play the wrong notes. I don't know how they've done it, but so I think you know they're going for that kind of just does everything. But yes, I think it looks nice. If the keyboard's nice, perhaps it needs a little bit more in the arsenal to go for it. Because if you're going to go for Komplete 10, which is also out, you know, then that plus Komplete 10, if you're not already a big winner. A user is going to be an issue. As Redwalk says in the chat room, it's great for contact because those LEDs will show key zones, key splits areas. You know, those are things that are all quite useful when it comes to, and that's what when it comes to working live, and that's what you're nodding as, Rich. You know, the fact that you've got labeled knobs and you've got labeled keys, that's going to be quite good for workflow. But Komplete 10 then. Anyone going for that? There's a few things involved. There's a few things in the Komplete 10 bundle as well, which we've got. We've got a few lined up here. The Rounds synthesizer, which unfortunately they haven't got any demos yet. It's a groundbreaking instrument, apparently. Polyplex, the fast way to design your own drums, and Contour, which looked quite interesting. I've got. I think I had a bit of. I probably have to plug that in because it's coming out of my speakers rather than.
Are these reactor ensembles?
I think. As is the case with all of their stuff these days. As is the case with all of their stuff these days, it's a question of they prototype it in that. Does sound quite nice. For some reason, it's only on one side. Oh, what the hell? Sure is pretty. Rich, you a Komplete user?
Yes, I am.
Will you? Are you going to upgrade? I mean, it's what? It's about if you're. I think I've got the prices here. If you're starting off, if you've got Ultimate, it's $339. So it's probably going to be $399 US, $169 if you're just a regular user to upgrade and get the additional stuff, which are these instruments and some pianos and a bunch of other libraries, which is what they tend to include where they iterate. I mean, you're going to need 440 gigs to install Komplete 10 Ultimate on your system, which is
well, that's if you didn't already have most of it from Ultimate 9. But yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of what they're giving you that I've already got.
Yeah.
In terms of that sizable library, but the sizable library's over there on a disc somewhere. Maybe it's at work. I'm not sure, but there's an actual physical disc that it comes with, from which you install it. There it is.
That's right.
I'm not intimidated by their measly 440 gigabytes. No, I'm joking. But no, that's not the concern. I'll probably end up with it, yeah, at some point. And I'm not in a particular rush to get it, but maybe I will become in a rush to get it. Who knows?
It would be,
especially if I try out that keyboard and really dig using it.
Really dig using it, yeah. I suppose that's going to be one of the issues. Dave, have you got the complete setup, or have you pick and choose from NI stuff, or stuff that you've got as NFRs?
I've got some things. Obviously, we did a kind of trade with them years ago, so I've got some things. But I don't know. I find it really hard to keep up because it's like, what are we on now, and what's this, and what is Komplete, and what's Komplete Ultimate, and it all gets a bit confusing. So I kind of go, actually, what I've got works for me fine. So maybe I'll get to something new in a while. And I'll probably forget.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that maybe if you haven't got Komplete, it's not, and you buy the actual Komplete, which is $429 US UK, so it's probably about going to be $500 or so for the Komplete, not the Ultimate. You get a heck of a lot of stuff to sort of start you off. I mean, it'll take you ages just to flip through the presets, and if you're looking for a bunch of new sounds, there certainly are a bunch there. So I mean, it's a kind of, as an inspiration pack, maybe it's something that is worth investing in, although I'm sure I don't know what's Spectrasonics must be due a big update at some point in the future, and they usually include a heck of a lot of stuff as well, so
I do occasionally get calls from bands who like have a day free during the installation process. So they'll call me and we'll kind of chat about how the kids and whatnot. I always reply with, "Are you installing the Native Instruments stuff?" And they always reply, "Yes."
Excellent. Yeah, it does take a while. There's no, because if you get it wrong, you got to start again. It's one of those things. But yeah. So anyway, that's the Native Instruments stuff. I'm guessing what's
Just
the
one last point on then, Nick, and I think it might relate to Rich talking about the cost of it not seeming too much, but why have they put the prices like €499 and $499? That's not the same price, is it? If that was actually dollar price, that'd be more like $700 or something.
Fair enough. Yeah.
That feels like the Europeans are being shafted a little bit. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Well,
fair enough.
That's entirely possible because, well, it used to be parity, but it's nothing like it at the moment, is it? So I
think it's like 1.3, I think, isn't it?
Wow, so we're getting a 30% hit.
I think that's just a little quandary there.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, no, I think, and they are a European country, so a European company. So yeah, no, I take your point. We shall have it up with the next board meeting.
The thing I'm using now, which I don't particularly love, cost me more than $500 and doesn't offer anywhere near the degree of control out of the box that this thing does. And this kind of degree of control out of the box is something I started talking about with Novation years ago, and they were like, "Oh no, it's so easy to construct your own." And I kept saying, I don't want to construct my own, and neither do all of those people over there. Yep. Do it. Do your homework. Present it fully loaded. People will come, which is what those guys, who is it, Nectar?
Yeah.
That's what those guys have pretty much done with the software that they support. They loaded the thing up, so it just works. You plug it in and you go, wow.
Yeah.
If you're using Cubase or you're using one of those products. But Novation just sold these empty boxes full of knobs and pads, and so does M Audio on some level. And they both try to give you some layer that, certainly Novation does to talk to it all. And I think this thing could be in my room.
Yeah. Well, that's fair enough. I mean, well, let's see what happens. But yes, I think perhaps now is a good time to interject with an advertorial advertisement from iZotope. Of course, iZotope have been sponsoring the show, and not only do you get the chance to win BreakTweaker after the ad, but we'll also find out who won last show's prize. So let me press the button. And hopefully the ad will start playing at some point in the not-too-distant future, and I can read over it as I do. There we are. BreakTweaker, of course, designed by BT, built by iZotope. It's a sort of granular beats, micro drum synth. You can manipulate the audio at a molecular level. You can reinvent any beat by controlling pitch, rhythm, and texture at the finest resolution. Free yourself from traditional drum grids. You can create complex polyrhythmic beats with a unique isorhythm and playback speeds. That's all. If you see there, all these rhythms can be running concurrently at different tempos, different divisions. Experiment with content, explore presets, drum samples, and wavetables designed by today's top musicians, including BT, who donated one of his more private collections. Craft the perfect drum sound, blend drum samples with synthesis to create compelling hybrid sounds. Take control of your beats. In fact, if you want to do that, what you want to do is you want to go to iZotope.com/BreakTweaker. You get a 10-day demo, as with all of their stuff, and it's well worth checking out. I'm still finding, because I've been away for a couple of weeks, I'm going to install it on my machine, and I'm really looking forward to that, because I've got some programming to do, and I want to get a whole new bunch of sounds, and I'm looking forward to that. Of course, we have a winner from the last show, which was 372. Let me find. Our winner is, in fact, and this is going to please somebody in the chat room, I'm sure, because the winner this week is Redwalks, one of the chatty familiars who's constantly been saying he's entering so that he can give it to Azzy ahead. Redwalks has won. His Redwalks his Twitter handle is @RedwalksTwit. He's won BreakTweaker, which he can donate to Azzy ahead if he wishes. All he has to do is send me The email account that he wants it to be bestowed on, the iZotope Ferry, will drop it off. So well done to you. He's a very much of a regular. But there is another competition. As I said, this week, this is probably the last one. I think we're going to be going into RX4, which has just come out as well. We're going to get a visit from iZotope in the next couple of weeks, so we'll be getting the skinny on that. You can win as iZotope BreakTweaker. Again, you need to be on Twitter. You tweet the hashtag #microtweak. Hashtag #microtweak to @SonicNick and @iZotope Inc. I will collect the entries and pick a random winner from those. So remember, if you want to win BreakTweaker, tweet the hashtag #microtweak to @SonicNick and @iZotope Inc. and then you will be entered into the prize draw, which we will announce next week, the winner from next week, and next week there'll be another one. So anyway then, so congratulations to Roadwalks there. Always nice to see a regular winning, and he did. So super. Right, next topic is this is the PreSonus videos. Here we go. These are the new PreSonus. I reviewed the Studio Live not that long ago. This is
a recallable X-Max,
the AI kind of rack basically, and you can see here the software interface is purely the interface is purely software. There's just basically a bunch of I/O, a bunch of ports, and this is the I can't remember how you call it, the UC controller, which is running on a Windows tablet. It can run on a laptop, it can run on iOS devices. Looks very impressive on a Windows machine because you've got that big sort of side control surface and you can grab all of that stuff. This is the hardware. There's a 16 input version and a 32 input version. I guess you put that in the stage box and just hook up to it either via Wi-Fi or via Ethernet.
That makes them
and you're off.
Powerful and versatile.
Now, obviously, Studio Live stuff, you know, I reviewed it. They do sound really good. This is an interesting trend. I mean, this is sort of going away. Basically, you make all the expensive DSP stuff in a box, and then you control it so that you can then just essentially update the interface, control it, whatever. I'm wondering, though, there's obviously people, they call it battle ready, and there's pictures of people allegedly mixing a live show on a touchscreen. I'm not entirely sure I'd be comfortable doing that, but do you think this heralds a kind of change, a gradual paradigm change? I mean, I'll go to you guys because we do the Sonic Touch show, which we'll be hopefully shooting another couple of episodes at the end of the week. Do you think that this is actually going to be a likely development? I mean, would you actually do this on a touchscreen? Would you be comfortable mixing a live show on a touchscreen without an actual control surface? And B, do you think this is where it's basically going to go now because it's cheaper not to build loads of knobs on it?
There was one thing I missed on this. You can't record directly into it, though, can you? You still have to have a
It's still got the 800 FireWire 800 ports, and you can just it's exactly the same thing as the AI, apart from the control surface is not there, and the metering and what have you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Quite often it's difficult to locate a suitable place to put a mixing desk. Finding a space to put a rack unit makes a lot of sense, and then being able to actually stand at an optimum place, assuming that the wireless connection is robust enough. And
yeah, I don't know if I would go for that. Again, I guess the thing is with this, for me, and it was the same thing with the Studio AI mixer I reviewed. It's like, great, this is all possible to work remotely, but all the I/O is on the box. There's no audio networking. They're going to be putting cards into it that you might replace the FireWire card, and you might put a Dante card or whatever, or a MIDI card, which are not available yet, but presumably they'll be across the range. But then if you do that, you need another stage box, which is essentially what this kind of is, and the DSP. So it doesn't quite work,
I kind of wondered why they don't just make a stage box, and just have it, rather than it necessitating another thing. The SM Pro are doing it that way now, aren't they? With just a stage box and a wireless
HTML5 controller, interface,
HTML5 based, which seems really good. But the other thing that it was making me think, though, was Motu have been pursuing this way of working for a while, haven't they? Certainly in terms of their audio interfaces work as standalone and have got DSP on them.
They haven't got the, well, they've only just started to bring the remote mixing aspect into it. But yeah, it's becoming,
That's true.
is it an audio interface? Is it a stage box? Is it a mixer? It's hard to tell. The one thing that I was a bit surprised at was, I think the 16 IO is 1,229 including VAT. But if you bought the 1642 AI, which is full desk with the control surface, the fat channel, all of that, so all the metering, that's only 1,500 quid. So essentially they're saying all that stuff, all those knobs, all those faders are only worth £300, you know, to the, on top of it, because I don't think there's anything necessarily different there. Rich is not agreeing with me there at all.
No, that's what's just such an incredibly misleading analogy, because there's so much else going on under the hood to facilitate all of this additional functionality that isn't present in the one with the knobs.
Well,
so
what is that then?
Well, all this wireless stuff.
No, but that happens on the AI as well. That's on the
okay.
AI. It's, I mean, the AI. Basically, sorry.
Go ahead.
The AI has a little wireless dongle you plug in, which is like a $15 kind of thing that goes in a USB port. And there's an Ethernet connector. So the only difference between this and that is maybe they put the $15 Wi-Fi thing
Also
in.
a huge form factor difference. It's a completely different
true.
piece of hardware. It's cheaper to transport. I mean, for some people, this is a perfect product, and for some people, that's a perfect product, and that's what they're hoping for. But it does, in fact, allow for the use of all of the software that the console uses, which includes Capture, which is their one-click record everything program, and integration with Studio One and things like that. So I think this is a really cool product. Boy, I'm like the court jester today.
Well, that's interesting. No, but it's interesting. But I mean, so does the full size mixer. I mean, this doesn't have anything that doesn't do, because it's still over FireWire.
Wants to carry all that if you don't have to, and especially if you're talking about a small touring band, and maybe you want to program your front of house in rehearsal and just control everything from the stage. I mean, there's just any number of, or let people have monitor mixes from this. It's a completely different hardware concept. It doesn't. I don't.
Yeah,
it's not an apples and apples discussion to me. What you're having an apples and oranges, and I like them both.
Well, I mean, but this is the point of discussion, isn't it? I mean, the thing is, if you were to use this front, I mean, yes, if you were mixing from stage, then fine. But if you want a front of house, you're working at front of house, you still need a touchscreen of some description. All the other stuff you're going to have to put on a table somewhere, front of house, to do that. So
computer or something, yes, and probably a hardware interface that has faders on it.
Maybe so, yeah.
But it tours differently. What I'm saying is you're not carrying a big, piano-sized crate or however big the console is, but it's not that big. But
no, it's not.
It's heavy and it's big and it's square and it's an expensive case to buy and everything else. And this fits in 19-inch racks, and it makes things very easy for certain kinds of people.
That is true.
I understand. I understand that it's not, like I said, they're both cool products to me. I'm not saying, no, you don't need faders and knobs. I'm just saying that for those people who don't want them, this is a great thing.
I guess so. I guess the other question is, I mean, PreSonus aside, how comfortable? I mean, I know there are people who are mixing via, say, maybe Apollo systems and doing it all via front, via mouse and what have you, and Recall. I wonder how quickly that sort of approach would be uptaken, because I mean, obviously, with tactile, when you're mixing, there's a tactile aspect to it. The fact that you put your hands on desk and you kind of cover certain faders and what have you. I mean, that's speaking from my experience as a live sound engineer, which I've done, a number of times, and they're pushing that as a concept. PreSonus aside, do you think that's going to fly? People are going to be starting to use that sort of thing?
A lot of people have been trying. Didn't Line 6 first come out with that box that allows every band member to have their own control of a certain thing? And I remember 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, we reviewed a piece by Line 6 that started down this path. And in fact, on today's prep notes, there's another product that's sort of like this on some level, where each player is plugging into something that's controlled, connected to some central area where it all, that sort of seems to be how it's going, and it seems to be changing a little bit. Now, I come from the same kind of paradigm you do, with it's just hands on faders and knobs to turn, and every channel's got its own integrity, and I understand all that, but it just seems like this whole aspect of the market is changing for young up and coming groups that want to get a repeatable sound from night to night in different areas.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I know, Dave. I mean, this is kind of again going on to the kind of concept of the controller removed from the actual hardware. Have you seen anybody? I mean, there must be people mixing on touchscreens, mixing without kind of the actual hardware services. I mean, I just haven't seen them, but then I don't get out much.
No, I think I'm with you. I don't get out much, and I haven't seen them. I did think it would be quite handy. I mean, I always, when I go to gigs that Andy Shillito does and whatnot, or other front of house guys, they're always wandering around, getting an idea of the mix in certain areas, and if they can carry something around and instantly tweak it, I think that's pretty cool. Although I did have a discussion the other day with somebody in quite a big band who was exceedingly grumpy because they were touring and they had 3 trucks and a bus and were getting paid X amount, and the DJ had a laptop and a couple of things, and he was getting paid about the same amount, if not more. And he was like, if we could kind of get our freightage down, we might actually stand a chance of making the same kind of money as that DJ, which did make me chuckle. So I guess, yeah, for something like that, this is incredibly valuable.
Yeah, I suppose needs must. I mean, I'm not saying it's not achievable. I'm curious how one would operate that in it, because you need a different set of visual cues, hardware cues. It's a different mindset to what I'm used to, and I can't quite get my head around how it would work.
It's going to have to be a lot to do with the responsiveness of the system, though, isn't it? I mean, the touchscreen idiom is very nice, but if there's a delay from hitting that mute, or even if it's marginal, it's going to really affect your relationship with the system, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, to be fair, the PreSonus AI system, I ran it on the iPad. It was really snappy. I mean, it didn't feel. I mean, there was a modicum of delay, but it didn't feel like it was something that was going to make me kind of go, ooh, because you had live metering, all that stuff. And that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm guessing all of those things. Certainly.
Can I ask what was the update of the metering like? Was it?
I mean, I wouldn't use it for kind of catching drum transients, put it that way. But it's not bad. I mean, it's certainly acceptable. But then most digital metering, whether it be in the DAW or whether, can't really handle that either. So I mean, it's not. I didn't find it was kind of a major problem, and I'm sure there are ways around it. You don't have to have a bar of light going up. You could do the old kind of green light, red light, which would be much faster, wouldn't have to have an envelope to it or response time. It could be just much more snappy, I guess, because it wouldn't have to draw so many pixels. I mean, I don't know, but I think it's an interesting development. And obviously this is, because we talked about the SM Pro Audio, who are doing the same kind of notion, with the mixer that lives on the stage, and everything runs via an HTML5 interface. I don't know whether this is an HTML5 interface or whether it's a dedicated thing. I mean, it's multi-platform, so it's entirely possible it might be web-based. I mean, I don't know. I do know that in the PreSonus AI stuff, there's basically a Linux computer. I mean, it's got a processor in it. It runs a web, so it's got all sorts of kind of stuff going on. And these, I'm guessing, this is, like as Rich said, this is just a different form factor of the same technology. With less components stuck on it. So it's easy, as I say, easier to transport and easier to whatever. But it just seems to me that it's, as these sort of things build momentum, then everybody starts to do it, and you end up with the industry going in a direction. I wonder if this, because it's quite a big deal for PreSonus to do it with such a big splash. I know that Behringer have done it with their X32 stuff, but they haven't made quite such a big deal about it. It doesn't run on a Windows tablet, so you've got a much larger surface area. It's an iPad thing only. I mean, you can run it on a computer, but it's not quite the same level of integration, perhaps. But if they manage to if they put a port on the back that you could plug a drive into and record everything into it without having to have a second computer connected via Firewire, then we'd be talking something really interesting as well, because you could just go bang, there it all is, timestamp and everything. Because if the computer's, if it's just basically an interface to the audio, that would be awesome.
Isn't that what they do?
I was thinking.
No, it's not. It's not. You need a Firewire 800 connection to your computer, which then has a drive on it, which so the Capture 2 software runs on a host computer. It doesn't run on you need the audio gets bussed out of the Firewire 800 port. That's what's happening.
And shows up ready to go though when you boot up
that's
their
great
software. So you just have to have a computer in between. I get it.
Yeah. So
okay.
it's I mean, if it didn't have to have a computer in between, that would be kind of cool.
Yes, agreed. But it's still pretty cool to me, and the fact that you could have integration with their high-end DAW instead of using Capture is also very cool.
Yeah, well, Capture is a really neat. One thing about Capture that is really neat is when you record it, those inputs can be flipped en masse between live inputs and so you've got virtual sound check going on, no problem at all. Also, the other thing that's cool is you can have the timeline of Capture running to the system clock. So the timestamps will all be last night at 8:30, for instance. You know, remember we did the encore, that was about 10 o'clock, bang, and all of those are, you know, against absolute time rather than, you know, at some sort of notional SMPTE kind of offset time, and that is really cool as well. It makes recall. I mean, I'm guessing, you know, you've done a load of live DVD mixing and stuff from that would be really useful.
No, I haven't.
Well,
I haven't
live,
done a lot of surround DVD mixing at all.
Okay, but I mean, making from live multi-tracks is what I mean.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
all the time,
yeah,
constantly.
But so there you have it. That's the RM32AI and the RM16AI, 1229 and 1749 ink vat. Right, and there's also this. This is all the footage I can find of it. This is the new Roland AIRA SBX-1. Introducing swing to a couple of DIN sync devices, 303 and a 808. No, not an 808, a TR, whatever it is, 606, isn't it? There you go. That's the best I could do in terms of footage. They haven't released a video for it. Let me see. I think there's, yeah, I've got some shots. This is it, the SBX-1. Which is syncbox. It does MIDI DIN sync in and out. DIN sync in and out, so it can control 808s and various other things. Adding swing to it because it obviously does something clever to the clock or whatever that might be. It's also got MIDI I/O. It's also got CV I/O. This is the thing that's got the built-in LFO as well, which is syncable, and that looks kind of. It's an interesting little box actually. I think it's quite expensive though, 319 quid I've seen as part of the AIRA range, and it's the sort of missing link, the sort of stuff that people have been saying was missing from between, you know, from the System 1, for instance, no CVIO, whatever. So I'm guessing it's probably going to be maybe 399 US, I would imagine, something like that. I'm guessing here. Now, Rich, now you say it's too expensive.
399. This is either going to be the coolest thing ever, or a future candidate for the Doorstops Hall of Fame, future Doorstops Hall of Fame. I'm not sure, but it's kind of cool.
I guess if you've got all of those things that you need,
do you need this anymore? I mean, back when I spent my life around a Dr. Click, you needed that sort of thing, but do you really need this thing right now? And do you need it for $400? Well, you do need a keyboard for $5, but I don't know if you need this thing for $4.
Well, Dave
says you do.
Well, because I remember a certain session at your house where we tried to sync the 808, and it was just a bloody nightmare. So something like this, surely the answer to all I think you'll be getting one of those.
Yep, it's already on the list. Well, actually, it's sort of already on the list. I've been running a CR8000, which is like it was like the sort of poor man's TR-808 back in the day. And obviously we've got the 808, and I've got the Jupiter 8, and they've all got DIN sync on. And I'm like, so I've been kind of hooking stuff up and running into issues where I haven't got enough DIN syncs and I haven't got enough CV nonsense. Anyway, and when I saw this, I was just like, that's it. And it's quite funny because when I spoke to Alessandro at that 9 Inch Nails gig, he'd just come up with that Coma Electronic RH301, which is another interface, which is slightly cheaper and has got a few more functions. But I'm really, really busy at the minute. I feel like I went into this room 6 months ago and I haven't quite left yet. And I've still got a lot to do before I can kind of take a break. So my ability to absorb other things is it's waning by the day. And there was just this really brilliant, straightforward diagram of how to hook up this Roland gizmo to all of your other bits and pieces. And I just went, I want that, because it didn't involve me thinking about too many other things. So yeah, I want it. And I think at the minute we're talking about 329 or something
319.
Like that in the UK.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's about 2, yeah, plus the VAT.
At least one.
But yeah, it's one of those things that, like, as you say, if it solves your problem, because there are ways. I mean, there are ways to do it. You mentioned the coma thing, but before that, the only other stuff was kind of Kenton, and that's quite long in the tooth. And also, you never have the right leads. What they need to do is sell a load of DIN sync leads as well. Can we have that, please? Because you can't get those anywhere. They're really hard to find. They're not, because they're not MIDI, are they? They're something else. Have they got a pin in the middle as well or something? It's just a nightmare.
Yeah.
Gaz, I'm guessing you haven't got a lot of analog DIN sync things in your life. This perhaps might not be something you need, but...
Well, I think they've been a bit stupid with this, and they should have built a USB hub functionality into it. If they're calling it the Universal Synchronization Hub, why didn't they put a USB hub functionality? And then you could synchronize your modern devices that have got USB connectivity.
Oh, so make it a USB B type connectors.
Yeah. Whichever way around.
Yeah, the other way around than it usually is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, oh no! I mean, there's so many devices, isn't there? That would be great if you could just link it all in there.
Yeah,
like,
I guess so. I'm guessing
the
that's,
OP1, for instance.
I'm guessing
lots of things.
That's not so easy to do because you've got to have all those devices have to be class compliant. And as we know, none of Roland's current crop of USB devices are class compliant in themselves. So it would be quite ironic if their sync box or whatever it was, assuming it had this function, was class compliant to the outside world, but not back to your own computer. That would be kind of worth a chortle in some places. In some, but it's cool. You know, I think basically you can buy one soon. I think they've been released. There was a couple other things as well. There's the HS5. This is what you were looking at, wasn't it, Rich?
Yeah.
This is the HS5, which looks a bit like the Millennium Falcon. And it's a 5-input COSM-driven kind of digital mixer with an unusual shape that you can use as rehearsals, and it's got total recall and 5 headphone mixes. That looks kind of cool. When I was looking at this, I thought, well, that's neat. I mean, what it needs is a master output, so you could drive a front of house, and also perhaps the auxiliaries output separately that are just not on headphones. I mean, it's very similar to the kind of Jam Hub and that kind of thing. I mean, this is the sort of thing that when I looked at it, I thought Roland just want every single rehearsal studio in the world to have one of those in the corner, so you could just plug your thumb drive in and load up your sounds. I mean, that would be, you know, the neat way to use it, but it's unlikely to happen with that few inputs and what have you. I don't know. Have you seen people using this kind of stuff, the Jam Hub and the I don't know what else there is that's in that sort of field? Very simple digital mixer for rehearsals.
I've used the Jam Hub.
You have, Gaz.
And this looks like a complete Jam Hub ripoff, really, because that Jam Hub was entirely unique. There was nothing like it. But this is ostensibly, Roland's take on that product. Although I think it's got some advantages over the Jam Hub. The recallability, I think. But I've used the Jam Hub when I was working on a project with young people, like a schools project. And in that context, it was perfect, you know. So I think it does fill a niche. But
yeah, I think it'd be cool. I mean, I guess the other things that it does, you can plug in a USB stick and it'll just take a 2-track recording of whatever's going on. That's neat. You plug a USB into the computer and it will record multi-track output. Again, you know, nice and useful. So those sort of utility features are also pretty handy as well.
So
and this sort
it becomes a audio interface then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose.
It does, yeah.
That's one way of looking at it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I
think so.
A different format of an audio interface.
But it surprises me that none of these mixers, or very few of them still, I mean, I can't think of many that do it apart from, none really, that you can just plug a drive in the back of it and it will just squirt out WAVs for each input, which would be really, really useful. So you have a box where you just go plug a drive in, jam for 2 or 3 hours, then come back, you got multi-track records. No, Rich, you're shaking your head.
Well, I think something does, and I just can't think of what it is. I'm pretty sure I remember something.
The Joko Black Box does it. I think the Behringer
Might be a Behringer product.
Behringer
Somebody
was
does.
supposed to do it, but I don't think they ever got round to actually, you know, the X32 was supposed to do it, but I don't think they
But everybody's got a laptop, heck, you can use an iPad these days. I mean, everybody's got one.
That's true.
So, and they have them at the gig, for crying out loud. It's just they're there. And there's nobody walking around at the gig on the tech crew who doesn't have a laptop with them.
Okay. But I'm thinking, you know, if we're talking, you know, kids in a room where they don't really necessarily want to take.
Well, that's yes. And I think this box is pretty cool for a bunch of guys who like to rehearse with drum pads, because you could rehearse your rock band in a small upstairs apartment, and your neighbors downstairs might hardly know, other than the kick drum pedal, what's going on.
Definitely. I mean, but you know, I don't know, Dave. You can imagine this. You know, you set up a load of synths. They go through a mixer that then, you know, comes out to your monitoring. But then you're just recording everything to separate, discrete WAV files. That would be kind of neat, useful, wouldn't it? Without having to kind of route it all via the sound card and all that kind of stuff. That's the sort of thing. A kind of inline recorder would make sense. I mean, they did that, the Gibson guitar cable thing, you know, times 16, for instance. That would be neat, but all onto the same USB device. Yes, please, if anyone's listening. I think that would work. Okay.
Good idea.
Right. Korg pushback Odyssey release. Don't know if we've got that, but it's just a bit of news that, you know, not till till early 2015. Obviously, the news that we talked about it at the time. There's a story on Synthtopia, which is basically just kind of highlighting the fact that they're pushing the release date back. There was some speculation as to why they announced they were making it anyway, which was perhaps to hang on to the patent. But those cynical people mentioned, so I don't know whether they're going to maybe add some extra functionalities. It's certainly got a heck of a lot of comments on Synthtopia about what people would like to see if it was going to be updated. I don't know what you think about that, Dave. Do you think they should just make it clean as is, or do you think, I mean, if they're going to be putting USB MIDI on it, they may as well maybe stick a couple of other things in there as well? I know you're very close to the Odyssey, so, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'd have to reserve judgment until I kind of see what they've done. I keep hearing loads and loads of different conflicting rumours, and I can't really comment on anything because some of them aren't particularly good, I have to say. But I'm completely reserving judgment until after the event. I don't know whether they should be completely purist or not. I'd say probably not, because those ARP sliders on the originals are exactly the most robust things. And don't do the Mark III with the keys hanging over the front that you can knock off and smash up really easily. So yeah, they've got to take a few things into consideration. But I think the feedback's just been so amazing for them that, you know, they've probably kind of reassessed a few things and gone, well, maybe we could do it this way instead of this way.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Speculation.
Because there was one comment in there that said the original cost about $1,600. I don't know if that's true or not. And if you go by inflationary standards, you know, it should, if it's like for like, you know, you'd expect it to be $5 or $6 grand as a result, just in terms of if it's exactly the same. I mean, obviously you're going to get economics of scale and different manufacturing processes and stuff. But, you know, whereas the MS-20 Mini, which is a different beast to the MS-20, but certainly the MS-20 kit, which is about $1,000, you know, is fairly sturdy and what have you. And if they're going to make a kind of something, like you say, that maybe improves on the original manufacturer, you know, but they're going to want to get it out at a reasonable price. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to sell enough of them.
Yeah, I don't even know. I can't really say anything,
Okay.
but you know, for me, a lot of the Odyssey is that sound and the functionality, the duophonic section with the ring mod to get those nasty screaming tones. You know, things like that are really important to me. And if they don't introduce those tones to a new generation, then I think that they've probably going to let the site go a little. But
it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see. But yeah. Okay, well, we got a couple of. You mentioned the iRig MIDI 2, Rich, which is the new interface from IK, which is a iOS plug and play in, out, through. As you can see here, you can plug it into any kind of iPad or USB, which I think is pretty cool, actually. I must say, just because in recent weeks, as you know, I've been experimenting. I still think MIDI is an absolutely bloody awesome communication language. I've been programming Hex MIDI over the last couple of weeks, And just to be able to go, right, I need to do this. It's like, yeah, I can do that. I can do this. I can do it. It's just a brilliant, and anything that brings more MIDI into the world has got to be a good idea. What was it about this, Rich, that particularly took your fancy? Is it just the form factor, or just the fact that more MIDI is good?
Well, I used the other product that they had, and this is a different one. And it has its advantages for some and disadvantages for others. For example, the actual form factor was larger than the last one because they've decided to accommodate full-sized MIDI connectors, 3 of them,
yes,
on the unit.
They had mini jacks, didn't they?
They had mini jack, these special cables that go mini jack to MIDI connector. Now, for my world, that's cool because I can carry it in a smaller form factor. Excuse me. So actually, on some level, this one isn't as attractive to me. But they having I believe it's a lightning connector on it is pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And it's a new product. It's a cool product that some people need for, sometimes you need a little tiny MIDI interface that only does a little tiny bit. Yeah. And I actually am one of those people who has that need on occasion on the road. So I bring one, and that's why I brought it up.
That's fair enough. People are asking in the chat room, how much is it according to
$100 list?
Yeah,
so it'll probably be about street 80 bucks.
80 quid.
Yeah, 80 bucks.
80 quid, $100. So that's all right. Gaz, any thoughts on that? I mean, I think MIDI interfaces are just. I was looking today. I needed some more. I had to fire up an old Philip Reese Pro Solo just so I could get a MIDI through to extend the MIDI cable all the way over there. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I do agree about MIDI still being a really great language. As 30 years old and hasn't been really superseded, really, has it?
Hasn't been battered, really.
Everything has failed, hasn't it? So I haven't looked at this myself, but I am interested. I'm always interested in ways to connect the iPad to physical keyboard controllers. So that looks quite good. And it's got a through on it as well, is it? Or is it 2 outs?
It's an in-out through. I think did the iRig also have the potential for a power input, so you could charge the
yes
it as well? I don't know whether this does that. That would be yeah. It doesn't look like it does. So that's not quite perhaps so utility as the one that you were talking about, Rich. It looks like there's just a single. Oops, no, I want to make that one bigger. No, it looks like just a single connector, which is it looks like an S-Video style connector. So I don't know whether you can charge your iPad while you got it plugged in, which actually, while it doesn't sound much, I mean, if you were going to use it, in any kind of situation where you were worried about your battery running out, it makes it kind of not usable in that way. But so I don't think this has quite the same deal.
I believe that port was designed so that you could charge other things off the back of it while it was plugged into your USB port.
Ah, okay.
If I remember correctly, it wasn't to do with charging it per se. It was a mini USB, the one with I think the trapezoid, if I'm not mistaken, that would allow you to charge external devices off the back of it while it was connected. So it wasn't like completely disabling your port on its own. I think that was the theory as far as power goes. That was the theory on that thing. What is cool for me about the old one is it's a lot flatter, and it's about the size of a good sized piece of Ghirardelli chocolate. And my road case for the thing is a small Ziploc bag.
Yeah, nice.
It and all of its cables go in a little Ziploc bag and travel with me everywhere I go for the odd time that I need it, and I have to load programs from this thing.
Yeah,
which
so
does happen occasionally
for loading your sound files into higher keyboards on the road,
into an SX version of the RD700 if that's all they got. Those are the moments where I'm thrilled to have this thing.
Yeah, I can imagine. Dave, do you think? I mean, we talked about the merits of MIDI or whatever. I mean, CV's got a fabulous, resolution and what have you, but it's still an awesome way to get signals about the place and kind of, I need to send something over there. Particularly if you get into the idea of turning MIDI events into something else, it really is, a great protocol still.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, really, come on. I don't understand why there was sort of period where, I don't know, people kind of went, oh, it's not hip anymore. I'm only using CV. Well, kind of use it all, which is why I like that box, because it's like DIN sync, USB, CV, MIDI. In fact, it's funny because I started wiring up a few things in here the other day, and it was like, oh, where's my MIDI cables? And I suddenly realised that actually, although most of the stuff I use a lot MIDI'd up all the time, I realised that I hadn't actually reached for my MIDI cable box for a good few months, and that was kind of weird. It felt weird. MIDI was everything for years and years, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
One kind of related thing, I noticed that Galileo, which is an iPad app, it's an organ simulator. Well, seems really good, I think. I've used it quite a bit. The new update has got a full screen mode, which something that we've been going on about in Sonic Touch. So if you are using your iPad as an expander, or it just means that it just displays just the controls, the drawbars and various switches, and doesn't use up any of the screen for a keyboard.
Oh, that's useful.
So, yeah. So again, I was really pleased to see that, just because I hope more app developers consider that the iPad as a, if you are using it with a keyboard.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I thought just little mention because while we're on the subject.
Okay, well, I was going to try and shoehorn another one in, but I think we're going to be pushed for time. I know I've got to get off. My daughter's swimming tonight or something that I've got to ferry her around. So back to school and all of those things. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. It's been a blast as ever. I want to say, of course, we want to say thank you to iZotope for sponsoring the show. And remember, if you want to enter that competition, you've got to go on Twitter, #microtweak, at Sonic Nick and at iZotope Inc. to enter, and then you could win a copy of BreakTweaker. So that's, just want to let you know that one more time. Anyway, Rich, thank you very much for joining us. I'm guessing, are you packing or are you working in the studio today?
Oh, all of the above.
All of those.
I'm in and out of town so much these days that there's a sort of open suitcase at the foot of my bed that fresh laundry is constantly just getting dumped into in anticipation of the moment when I'm going to have to organize it all into a packed state so I can go. So it actually just sort of lives now completely and utterly in transition, my life, as well as the tech stuff, which is between that bag, because I've become, and this is important now, a one-bag guy. And my life is so wonderful as a one-bag guy now. I can't hardly express to you how happy that makes me.
Is that carry-on as well? Just carry-on? Or
yes.
Wow.
Yes. Wow. The whole deal. The whole deal in one
You
bag.
have reached parity, travel parity.
I'm
That's
so
awesome.
pleased. Now, if somebody starts bestowing, and this does happen occasionally, gifts upon us as we are out and about, it starts to get a little more complicated. But then if you have the big bag. But you don't stand there wondering if you're ever going to see your luggage again in every new city that you land in. And
that is
it's
awesome.
all there.
I'm very happy
It's all
for you.
right there. I'm thrilled.
But surely the
things.
problem is then if it only works if everybody is one bag, because then you can all just leave en
No,
masse.
but yeah, I understand. I still have to sit in the bus and wait for everybody who's waiting for their checked luggage or whatever, but it's fine. It's especially when you come back. We now have this is more than you wanted to know. We now have something in America called global entry, where you go and you have an interview and you get your picture taken and your fingerprints taken and everything else, and then when you come back into this country, you don't have to stand on that 2-hour immigration line. You go right to that kiosk, swipe your passport, show them your fingerprints, take a picture and smile, and you walk out of that airport 5 minutes after you left the plane.
That's neat. They're supposed to work that way in the UK, but that booth is always out of order.
They never work, do they?
In the
never
UK,
work.
when we arrive in the UK, there is a minimum 30 and usually closer to 45-minute wait while they process 10 work visas.
Yeah. I can
as
understand.
though they've never ever done this before every single time you land. It's really remarkable. It's actually incredible to me the number of times I've seen people look at this as though this had never happened before.
Right.
Okay,
Well,
that's my little rant.
I get
Done.
the same thing when I go to LA. I've got it because I travel on a journalist visa, and there's always lots of questions about that. But
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, they don't ask us any questions. They just take your passports and disappear for 40 minutes. There's no
Right.
question.
It's just-
We've got the paperwork. We've got the passports. Everybody's got their number on the paperwork. It's all correct. And takes 45 minutes. no matter
Oh,
what.
wow.
It's
well.
a truly Brazil-like moment. As
Yeah,
in the movie Brazil.
I can only apologise on behalf of an entire nation
No, it's all
of
right.
customs, but that's where. Anyway, Rich, great to have you, and I hope your travels are not so troublesome. And but thank you very
Well,
much
it's
for
never
joining.
that troublesome. We're used to it. It's fine. It's
Yeah,
good.
well, thanks
We
anyway, Rich. And Gaz Williams, thank you very much over there in Bristol. We'll see you in a couple of days. We're going to do some more Sonic Touches. So, yep, looking forward to that. And in the meantime, have a good rest of the couple of days. And also, Dave Spears, G4 Software, thank you also for joining us. And yes, giving
Thank
us
you.
your
I want to pimp something.
Oh, yes, of
very
course.
briefly. So, in brief, we have lots of artists who come in here and use the stuff, and we have a lot of artists who say, "Is there any chance that we could use your stuff live?" And we always go, "No, no, no, no." Anyway, we've relented for one gig, and it's Tara Bush and Math doing their gig
South
on
Bank,
the 20 South Bank, 21st of September. And she is using the 2600, the Odyssey, the Oscar, the 101, and a couple of other things.
Wow.
So if there's any synth heads in London even, around that date, come down. We're going to be there, guarding the gear with weapons, I hasten to add.
Sunday,
And,
21st
we'll see
September,
you then.
7:45. There it
There you
is. In fact, we were hoping. Tara did get in touch and said, "Could she come down here and do a show?" And I'm still kind of going, "Yeah, okay." I haven't heard back, so I'm guessing she's busy learning all of those new synths and how to incorporate them into her live setup.
Exactly. Everybody thinks that we're brave, but I think the truth is she's really brave because she's now designing a set around these old ancient pieces of kit that I've gone, well, you know, it's in the lap of the gods whether it's going to work on the night or not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be exciting.
That sounds great. Anyway, well, thank you very much. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thank you very much to everybody in the chat room. I think everything has worked today, which is nice because, as I say, I rebuilt the streaming server, did a few other bits and pieces. I'm not sure about everything else, but I hope the experience was as good for you as it has been for me. That was Sonic Talk number 374. We'll see you next time, where you can also find out whether you won the competition.